France has been plunged into political uncertainty after Parliament passed a no-confidence motion against Prime Minister Michel Barnier and his government. 331 MPs out of 574 members of the National Assembly voted in favour of ousting him. The motions were tabled after the Prime Minister bypassed parliamentary approval to force through an austerity budget. The left and far right led the push to remove him from office. It's the first time a government has been toppled this way in France since 1962. Well, let's look at some of the context and how the French government reached this point. President Emmanuel Macron held snap parliamentary elections in June. That left no party with a clear majority. Macron appointed Michel Barnier as Prime Minister to lead a right-wing minority government. But the Prime Minister had difficulty passing a social security budget that included tax increases and spending cuts to reduce the country's deficit. So he used a special process to force it through without parliamentary approval. This led to parties on the left and far right to call for no-confidence votes. It's been 60 years since government was forced from power in this way in France. I'm joined now by our correspondent in Paris, Natasha Butler. Natasha, talk us through the significance of what's just happened.
Well, it is significant, isn't it? You just said it's been 60 years since the French government has collapsed in this way, and Michel Barnier's government was only 3 months old. So it's clearly an embarrassing blow for Michel Barnier and also for the French President Emmanuel Macron, who appointed him. Barnier was simply unable to get the approval of MPs across the House for his austerity budget, and MPs from the left-wing alliance and from the far right both tabled these votes of no confidence that ended up being supported by enough MPs to make the French government collapse. So what happens now is a situation in which we have president will have to nominate a new prime minister.
All right, it appears we're having some technical difficulties speaking with our correspondent in Paris, Natasha Butler. Natasha, it seems that you're back on the line. So, Natasha, if you can hear me, we've just seen the alert that President Emmanuel Macron is expected to address the nation on Thursday evening. This whole situation certainly puts him in a rather difficult predicament.
Well, many people say it's a situation of his making. It was the French president who called a snap election in June that was totally unexpected, that threw the country into months of turmoil, because you had a situation in which the French parliament became deeply divided, and the French prime minister, who was appointed, Michel Barnier, some months after that election, could not form a government that had a majority in parliament, therefore needed to rely on MPs to push any bills through, and was unable to do so. So many are blaming Emmanuel Macron for all this political turmoil. It's embarrassing for him as well. This weekend we have the grand reopening of Notre Dame Cathedral. Heads of state will be here, including the US President-elect Donald Trump. Emmanuel Macron certainly won't want all this to be overshadowing a big moment for France at the weekend, but sadly, once again, political turmoil and crisis are going to be overshadowing what is happening in the next few weeks.
Thank you so much, Natasha. That's Natasha Butler reporting from Paris.